Well, good evening. Good evening, everyone. We'd like to begin our program. I'm Craig Chindemi, the Chief Development Officer of the Ascension Borges Foundation, and we are pleased that you are here today to share this evening with us in person for our 37th annual Tree of Love ceremony. We're honored that you have again partnered with the Ascension Borges Foundation to support women's health here in Southwest Michigan. Last year, I received notification from a Borges nurse that a Borges nurse had passed away. And that nurse had left the Tree of Love in her will. That nurse's name is Christina Nelson. Christina was a donor to the Tree of Love as a nurse, and she continued being a donor throughout her retirement when she moved back to Sandusky, Ohio. Christina left the Tree of Love $38,000 in her will. We've never had a gift like that, but it really, clearly, the Tree of Love meant something to Christina, and Borges meant something to Christina. We have a table of nurses here representing Christina, and could you stand up and please be recognized? Thank you. I know she would be really pleased. Now, we also have somebody who is a nurse. Her name's Joni, and she was a colleague and a friend of Christina's, and I'm going to ask Joni to come up and say a few words about Christina.
I'll get there.
You take your time.
Thank you, everyone. It is my great privilege and honor to speak a little bit about Christina and share a little bit about how she touched my heart with all of you. So when I met Christina, she had already been a nurse for many years. And even though she wasn't my preceptor, she acted as a mentor towards me when I was still just a baby nurse. We actually ended up changing departments together, where she continued to be very close to me, and I to her. She was a fantastic nurse, and she fought tooth and nail for her patients, sometimes to the doctor's chagrin, because she did not give up when she thought something was wrong. She had a wicked sense of humor, something that we bonded over quite a bit. Beyond on the job, when my mother got sick, she came to my house. Well, first, she asked me where I lived, and she left a present while I was home in my garage and left. She wasn't someone who liked the spotlight on her, but she left a present for me while I was grieving, and then when I had my child, she also came and kind of ninjaed her way into my house and left another present and left. She took care of her parents in Ohio and continued to drive here every week to take care of our patients. She was an avid gardener. She not only was a nurse here, but she had a second career at one of the local gardens here in Kalamazoo. The gift that she gave me was a garden ornament, and I just want to share what it said. And this was after my mom died, and I think it's relevant now. It said, "One who blooms in our heart can never be forgotten." And she is not forgotten by me, nor I think anyone that she has been in their life. Thank you for coming, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak about Christina. Thank you.
Thank you, Joni, for sharing that with us. I would ask the table just to lift that little sign for me. Yeah. So every year we're going to have a table, and we're going to have Christina's picture. There we go. We've got a couple of them. We're going to have Christina's picture on it, and we're going to have nurses here in Christina's memory. So it's now my pleasure to introduce and ask Dr. Thomas Ross, our Regional President and CEO of Ascension Borgia System, for a few remarks. Dr. Ross?
Thank you, everyone. As I stand here, having been part of the senior leadership here at Borgias for the last 3 years, I have to tell you how wonderful it is to see everybody in the same space with your smiling faces and all of us in 3 dimensions instead of 2 dimensions. Thank you all very much for coming. This is a celebration of a campaign we do which makes a real difference. And I especially want to thank and recognize not only our nurses' tables who are here and our employees and leaders who are here, but our Borgias Women's Health outpatient unit nurses who are here supporting the cause too. And I really appreciate you being here. It means a lot that this matters enough to the people who are associates that you have shown up, and that's important. So thank you. I took care of patients who had breast cancer for the first 10 years of my career. This is a really meaningful campaign. It matters that people get breast screening examinations. It matters that we find these cancers early, and it matters and people live longer to take care of their children and grow old together and be part of their communities. And so this is one of my favorite causes. I really want to tell you how much I appreciate all of your supports in the campaign. That's about all I got to say. Mr. Chendemi.
So I'm only the opening act. It's now my pleasure to introduce your Master of Ceremonies this evening. And he's a continuing star in our program year after year, and we're honored to have him back here again this year after a brief COVID hiatus. He's been a fixture on Kalamazoo Airways for 50 years, and he starts many of our mornings off with his show now on WKZO 106.9, our Master of Ceremonies, Ken Lamphere.
Well, thank you very much. Good evening. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here tonight. It is a thrill and an honor to be back with you in person at this terrific event as we share this very important evening and ceremony with all of you. Throughout the years, the Tree of Love ceremony has evolved. There has always been 2 steadfast constants to it. First, an unwavering focus on providing free mammograms and breast health services for those in need, and extending our appreciation for the many donors whose generosity makes these services a reality. You came here to support this cause tonight, and that's very special, so we certainly thank you. We are all here tonight in support of screenings for the early detection and treatment of breast cancer, and we're also here to celebrate breast cancer survivors and remember those we have lost to the disease. If you are with us tonight and are a breast cancer survivor, we ask that you please stand for just a moment, if you would. And if you have a family member who is a breast cancer survivor, if you would please stand and remain standing for a moment. If you know of someone, a colleague or a neighbor or a friend who's a breast cancer survivor, we ask if you would stand for a moment, please. And lastly, if you have lost someone from breast cancer, please join those who are standing. Thank you very much. You may take your seats. So you can see that this disease touches so many of us, and this is too important to ignore. We must continue our efforts to increase early detection so the number of survivors continues to grow and the loss of loved ones continues to decline. At this time, I would like to introduce Dr. Jennifer Frink, Medical Director of Ascension Michigan Women's Health and an OBGYN physician, for a few remarks on why this is so important to many women and their families. Please welcome Dr. Frink.
Thanks, Ken. So again, I'm Jen Frink. I'm an OB-GYN physician. I've been practicing here at Borges for the last 13 years. And the reality is that I couldn't do what I do without that table right there. So we need a round of applause for all of the women that work at Borges Women's Health, and in particular, our hero, Katie, our hero and our survivor. We love you, Katie. So obviously, this is a very, very important topic, and you can see from Ken's remarks that this touches so many people in our world. An American woman's risk of developing breast cancer in her life is about 12%. That means about 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer at some point in her life. It's the second most commonly diagnosed cancer in women, second only to skin cancer. We all love the sun. And the numbers of women that are diagnosed with breast cancer every year is staggering. Over 250,000 every single year in the US are diagnosed with breast cancer. Over the decades, the incidence of breast cancer has unfortunately been rising. However, the mortality rate has continued to decrease. And this is really because of those earlier detection mechanisms that lead to better breast cancer survival. 98% of women that are diagnosed with breast cancer, early stage breast cancer, will survive past the 5-year mark. That's a huge number, 98%. It's fantastic. And really, it's because of things like screening mammograms that have allowed medicine to offer such great survival rates for these women. Breast cancer screening recommendations vary based on an individual's risk factors. Most women can begin screening at around 40. And most women will screen with a mammogram every 1 or 2 years, but there are some women that have an increased risk, and those women need to start screening either earlier in life or they may need a more intense screening protocol. And of course, we can't forget the men in our lives that support us, because there are some men that need to have breast cancer screening as well. Here at Ascension Borges, we take the overall health and preventative care of our community to heart. We know that the moms and sisters and the daughters and wives are the people in our world that are really critical in keeping the rest of us healthy and happy. That means that we need to make sure that we are prioritizing the health of them as well. Ascension Borges can help do that with wellness care and other important screening tools. Our goal really is to keep the women we serve healthy for many, many years to come. The Tree of Love program fits wonderfully into the greater mission of Ascension Borges, in particular the mission of caring for the poor and vulnerable. At Ascension Borges, we care for everyone, especially those that have the greatest need. So if you or someone you know may be in need of screening but not have the resources or not have the insurance to cover a mammogram, please look at the number that's on those cute pink flyers on your table. Give that number to her, call it yourself. she might qualify for a free screening mammogram through this wonderful Tree of Love program. So again, thank you to everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. And again, thank you to everybody sincerely for your support of this wonderful program.
Thank you, Dr. Frink. It is now my pleasure to welcome to the stage for comments and to recognize our sponsors and donors. I'd like to introduce Bill English, Ascension Borges Foundation Vice Chair and Chair of the Tree of Love Campaign. Bill?
Thanks, Ken. I'd like to first recognize and thank our Tree of Love committee members that are here. Casey Elger, Byron Foster, Sarah Harding, Sister Mary Pung, Natalie Valentine, and Julie Rule. This event wouldn't happen without these peoples and their leadership and their commitment to women's health services. Saving lives, and thank you. I'd like to personally thank all of our donors that are here for the Tree of Love tonight. Whether you contributed $80 or $8,000, every gift is appreciated and valued, and that your money makes a difference. Please think of your support not in monetary terms, but in human terms. Saving one mother, one wife, one sister, one daughter impacts the lives of so many, as we saw here as everybody stood up. Thank you all. To those who supported the Tree of Love this year and are honoring and remembering and recognizing a loved one, we thank you. Your support is making an impact on our community, among women, families, and generations to come. Throughout the evening, you'll see many names scrolling across our screens here, and the names have been provided by donors to remember those and honor them and recognize their loved ones. I'd now like to thank and recognize our sponsors and donors for their generosity. If you are here representing the company or family, please stand as I read your name. Presenting sponsors, Jim Gilmore Jr. Foundation, Richard and Thelma Hall Foundation, Lillibridge Healthcare Services, Stephen Peck, Dr. Stephen Peck, Stryker Corporation, and our pink ribbon sponsor, the Tyler Little Family Foundation. We have table sponsors here as well, Battle Creek Area Catholic Schools, St. Philip's Volleyball Team. I think this is the third or fourth year they've raised that kind of money. It's amazing. Drs. and Mrs. Richard Dernberger, Lake Michigan Credit Union. Tree sponsors, Jane Bainbridge, Greenleaf Trust, Dr. and Karen Krenick, Old National Bank, Keith and Julie Peterson, R1 RCM Incorporated. Thank you to all these sponsors and all those who supported the Tree of Love this year. And we're honoring and recognizing a loved one as well. I'd like to also extend a special thanks to Pat Warner, who's in here, for your generosity in donating the Warner Vineyard wine again this year. It's always been a great promotion for us. Thank you much. So please join me in a round of applause for all of our sponsors and donors.
I'll be quick. I forgot something. I need to thank Bill English for pulling all this off. I missed him. He deserves a round of applause.
Well, the Tree of Love was established to ensure access and eliminate barriers for those who may not seek mammograms because of a lack of insurance or financial hardship. If you know someone that isn't getting their mammogram or additional testing done because they aren't sure they can afford it, please make sure they contact Ascension Borges Scheduling to see if they qualify. There are flyers on each table that have that contact information. Before we head out to the lobby to light that beautiful tree out there, we'd like to share our Tree of Love campaign totals with you. As of tonight, we have raised $62,541 for this year's campaign, and we're not done yet. We'll probably raise more before the end of the year. So that's a wonderful figure. Every one of those dollars will help a patient in need right here in our community. If you would like to make a gift this evening, there are brochures at each table for your donation, which you can bring to a volunteer or a staff member. Now, if you've been to this event before, you know what's coming next, the lighting of the tree out in the lobby. If there are any breast cancer survivors or those who have been personally impacted by breast cancer in attendance, we would love to have you come to the front of the tree and be honored during the tree lighting. So now it's time for the fun part of the evening, where we head out to the lobby and light that beautiful tree. So we'll join you out there. Thank you very much for joining us out here. 37 years ago, the Borges Service League started the annual Tree of Love tradition. And today we're grateful for the impact this tradition makes to our community. The lights on this tree tonight represent all of those individuals who have been honored by you. So we honor and celebrate the survivors standing here with us tonight. And let's now take just a moment in silence to remember those that we have lost. Thank you very much.
Everyone we meet is our dear neighbor, that is worthy of our compassion, love, and respect. So thank you for being a part of that, and thank you for honoring all those in our community. So I invite you to pause with me as we bless this tree. Please join me in prayer. Holy One, we thank you for this tree of love. Thank you for all those who have donated to make this program possible. We ask that you would bless this work. May it be a gift to those who receive mammograms. May it truly save lives and bless families. Bless this tree. May it remind us to think of everyone we meet as our dear neighbor. Amen.
Thank you very much, Ben. So, are we ready to light this tree? Are we ready? All right, if you would help me count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.